Last week, I released a video discussing how Sony is going out of their way to attack fans of the From Software title Bloodborne. Lost in Hyrule launched a Kickstarter to help fund their efforts, and it seems that's all Nintendo needed to see before they jumped in to shut things down. Even with the team claiming the project was not for profit, it's clear Nintendo wasn't happy with the Kickstarter being associated with the effort. Hello fellow travelers and welcome to the Hard Light Network. Last week, I released a video discussing how Sony is going out of their way to attack fans of the From Software title Bloodborne. Using vague legal threats as well as the shield provided by the gray areas of copyright law and fair use in this country, Sony has gone out of their way to attack multiple fan projects and keep Bloodborne squarely within their own control. But there is another major game developer who is becoming infamous as of late for the very same sorts of behavior, and they will not be outdone at their own game. And of course, the company that I'm referring to is none other than Nintendo. The basis for today's tale is a legend. The legend of a boy with boundless courage, a girl of ineffable wisdom, and the monstrous powers arrayed against them. That's right, it would seem we are in the fallen timeline because today we're talking about Nintendo's takedown of the Legend of Zelda fan film, Lost in Hyrule. But before we get into it, guys, you know I've got to ask you to hit that like button if you like this video, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future, and also leave a comment with your thoughts on Nintendo down below. Of course, if you want to support the channel further, there are super thanks and memberships options down below. Join the channel today for access to exclusive content and perks you can't get anywhere else. But without any further ado, let's start today's video. Today's reading comes to us from GoNintendo.com from an article entitled Nintendo Shuts Down Lost in Hyrule, a Legend of Zelda fan film. In the last few days, you might have heard about Lost in Hyrule, a not-for-profit fan film set in the timeless, magical world of The Legend of Zelda. Created by a team of passionate fans of all eras of the series, those involved were committed to delivering a story that feels both faithful to its roots and refreshingly unique. Unfortunately, that simply isn't going to be possible anymore, as Nintendo has stepped in to squash the film. Lost in Hyrule launched a Kickstarter to help fund their efforts, and it seems that's all Nintendo needed to see before they jumped in to shut things down. Even with the team claiming the project was not for profit, it's clear Nintendo wasn't happy with the Kickstarter being associated with the effort. The FAQ for Lost in Hyrule makes it clear that the team knew they were in danger of catching Nintendo's eye, as it included a portion that stated, quote, "This is Nintendo's IP, and if they decide to halt our production, we will." It looks like that's indeed what has happened, as the Kickstarter is now dead in the water. Truth be told, we knew about Lost in Hyrule prior to the Kickstarter launch, but decided not to share details on it. That was in an effort to keep things quiet surrounding the project, and also having a sneaking suspicion Nintendo would swoop in for the kill. Unfortunately, that ended up being the case no matter what, but let's hope there's another way for this fan film to come to fruition. That's going to be it for the written article, but you know your boy has a little bit more to yap about. While I personally don't fault the creators of Lost in Hyrule for their creative efforts or their desire to honor this IP, they made a couple of grave mistakes in this project. First and foremost, they chose a Nintendo IP on which to base this project on. And even if their FAQ section indicated that they were fully aware of this possibility, they honestly should have known better, as Nintendo has done far more for far less. I've seen gameplay and lore YouTubers struggle with Nintendo's DMCA claims, so a fully realized fan film was definitely going to be in their crosshairs. And that's not to say that I agree with Nintendo's course of actions at all. On the contrary, I'm highly against it, and I support any and all creators' endeavors in these projects. But all the same, you don't stick your hand in the lion's mouth and expect not to be bit. Nintendo is notorious for hating any sort of fan projects, and they have the resources to pursue legal claims against any and all people who offend them. Their second and arguably much more egregious offense was tying a Kickstarter to the project, and by monetizing it, even if it was, quote, not for profit, they definitely painted a target on their back. But to tell you the honest truth, if they hadn't gone this route and tried to solicit money from fans of Nintendo for this project, they may have just gotten away with it. However, with the current climate, considering the ongoing Palworld lawsuit, as well as the creation of an official live-action Legend of Zelda IP, there's no way that a competitor was going to survive. As a fellow creative, gamer, and producer of media, I can absolutely empathize with their situation. But there's also a level of pragmatism that can't be overlooked, and it seems like this entire project was really just an exercise in futility. Which honestly really sucks to say, because it seems like given the resources that they had, they were putting together a pretty amazing project, and it sucks that they shot themselves in the foot before it was even off the ground. And I know it's a different story from a different company, but Sony recently took down the 60 FPS patch for Bloodborne and also a fan-made demake on the PSX, and none of those projects had any monetary gain to them whatsoever. Both the patch and the ROM for the PSX demake were free downloads, and Sony didn't stand to gain or lose anything by allowing these projects to exist, and yet they took them down anyway. As much as I want to continue to support the creators of this project, and I absolutely do from a principle standpoint, it was absolutely dumb of them to go this route. And I'm not the only one to think so. As we can see from the comments section, a couple of people made similar points. The Great King said, "Seriously, when are people gonna learn?" And Lucius6 commented, "Indeed, worse timing when they're busy making their own live-acting adaptation. Guarantees a DMCA." The final point that I'd like to make before wrapping up this video is that I would absolutely love to live in a world where fans could actualize on their own ideas for their beloved IPs. I personally want to see nothing more than more artwork, more cosplays, more video projects like this, and even little game projects like the PSX demake for Bloodborne. But we have to remember that we live in a current climate where these companies are so large, so bloated, and have so many resources at their disposal that they've hired entire third-party companies to scour the internet for any legally actionable offense. Honestly and wholeheartedly believe that projects like this are integral to the issue of preservation. Not only do they show the fan base's love and loyalty for these titles, but they also help to raise awareness for the original product and also capture the emotions and the themes that made them so popular in the first place. New fellow travelers and fans are being born every single day, and projects like this, whether they're fan films, spin-off titles, character artwork, or even just lore videos or gameplay videos, are vectors by which new people who have never heard of these titles can access them and become interested. Who's really to say how many potential fans that Nintendo cut themselves off from because they shut down a project like this? Maybe a handful of new fans to a company that's nearly 200 years old with hundreds of IPs under its belt and millions upon millions of dollars in profits to show for their efforts is inconsequential. But for me, someone with a much smaller fan base, with a much smaller reach, every single subscriber, every single interaction is significant. Maybe it just hasn't hit me yet, but it seems wild to me that publishers such as Bethesda or Sony and other companies like Nintendo have the resources that make it possible for them to hate their fans. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched up to this point. I really do appreciate all of the views, the likes, and the subscribes. So do me a solid and hit those buttons so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future. Every show of support, whether it's a like, a subscribe, a super thanks, or whatever, is one step closer to becoming a competitive force here on this site as well as in the media universe altogether. For as much time and effort as I put into these projects, you guys are really the ones that make it happen, and I want to be reminded of that with every video. So of course, I've just got to say, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels.